Hi, these comments are for KP. You have just a few more days before you take the TOEFL test on Saturday. Good luck. And let me grab some water here. Give me a quick second. I need to grab something to drink here for a second. Okay, so you're doing integrated speaking task number 3. So reading, listening, speaking, academic. And the email you say, Michael, please listen to evaluate score and provide feedback on my integrated speaking practice test question 3. This is the link to the YouTube video. And I also posted this right below this YouTube video in the comment box in case anybody else wants to practice this practice test. Compare. How does your practice test compare to the one that you see in the video here? Now, if you want to practice, don't listen to the response yet. Pause, come back, and then you can compare later. The question is, explain how the example from the lecture illustrates the concept of emotional intelligence. So let's see if you make that integrated connection explicitly clear in your response.
Reading passage, emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize the person's own feelings, enabling him to understand the reason for those feelings and to control their emotional response. In psychology class, the professor gives an example of his daughter's behavior to explain emotional intelligence. To begin with, the lecturer states once his daughter and her friend had argued about which movie to watch, caused her to be upset. But the real reason behind her emotional response was her new summer job, which she was going to start as a camp counselor for children. Moreover, he also mentions as soon as his daughter had realized her misbehavior, she apologized to her friend. As you can see, emotional intelligence helped his daughter to correct her action.
Okay, so that kind of ties it in there. You could do a little bit better job at the end tying the definition in with the example, right? Make that a little bit more clear even. But overall, I think it's a fairly good response. I'm gonna put you at least 23 points out of 30. That is my starting point. Now let's listen to it one more time. I'm going to see if I can uncover any problems.
According to the reading passage, emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize the person's own feelings, enabling him to understand the reason for those feelings and to control their emotional response.
Good. Now, just be careful of the P. With the P consonant sound, you need to pronounce that with a little bit more aspiration. That will improve your intelligibility, and
In psychology class,
differentiates that from the B consonant sound.
recognize the person's own feelings, enabling him to understand the reason for those feelings and to control their emotional response.
It's a little awkward at the end there, and to control an emotional response. That part of your sentence didn't really fit with the grammar of what you did before, so I think that was a little bit awkward.
In psychology class,
It's in psychology class, so that's a word stress shift.
the professor gives an
The professor, so I want you to review word stress, right? Word stress. Go to the word stress part of the pronunciation area of my course and review those 4 lessons.
example of his daughter's behavior to explain emotional intelligence.
Okay?
To begin with, the lecturer states once his daughter and her friend had argued about which movie to watch, caused her to be upset. But
No, once they had blah, 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 you're using that as an adverb clause, right? So you can't use the adverb clause and then put just a verb after that. When you're using a dependent clause, you'll need to have a subject and a verb in the independent clause part of that sentence. That's a sentence structure error. Let's listen to it one more time.
response. In psychology class, The professor gives an example of his daughter's behavior to explain emotional intelligence.
Okay, I like that. That definitely connects back to the
To
definition.
begin with, the lecturer states once his daughter and her friend had argued about which movie to watch, caused her to be upset. But the real reason behind
Once his daughters argued about, I would put they became upset, or the argument caused the daughter to become upset.
her emotional response was her new summer job, which
Okay?
she was going to start as a camp counselor for children.
Which was going to start as a CAP counselor for children. So I think that you had some problems with pacing right there.
Moreover, he also mentions as soon as
I like that though. He also mentions pause and then as soon as. So your pacing was pretty good
his
there.
daughter had realized her misbehavior, she apologized to her friend. As you can see, emotional intelligence helped his daughter to correct her action.
Instead of saying as you can see, just say therefore the daughter's actions helped her to blah 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 whatever. So maybe just use therefore instead of as you can see. You don't have to involve your audience in these kinds of speaking tasks. Your purpose is to simply re-explain the information and to make the required integrated connections between the information in the reading with the information in the listening. So this is an objective kind of summary explanation. There's no need to mention I or you or we, any of those kinds of things. All right. So I think that my score is pretty accurate. So you did have some language use issues in there. You had some minor delivery issues. So I'm going to give you a score of 23 points on this particular practice test.